Takur Ghar is one of the highest peaks in the Arma mountains of southeastern Afghanistan. The peak is on the eastern border of the Shaikat Valley. This particular peak was one of the strategic positions to be taken in by two teams of DEVGRU operators as an observation post. What was supposed to be a quick insertion and setup of their post became a fight that changed their lives from then on out. They knew that resistance was expected, given that they could not be inserted quietly, and the location was known for having Al-Qaeda insurgents around. But this exceeded all their expectations. Welcome to the Spy Network. In March 2002, a joint military operation named Anaconda was mounted in the Paktia province. This operation was built up to surround and defeat Taliban forces hiding in the area. Operation Anaconda is one of many, all part of the global war on terror. It was deemed an unqualified and absolute success, but this was not a mission in which the U.S. military plan survived the first contact with the enemy. Even though the Anaconda squeezed every last breath out of their prey, as the top officials put it themselves, the battle at Takur Ghar left a big stain on their success. Operation Anaconda also marked the start of large-scale deployments of American troops into the country. The mission. The engagement began with the deployment on the evening of March the 3rd of Mako 21 and Mako 30. These two 7-man SEAL teams originating from SEAL Team 6, officially known as the Naval Special Warfare Development Group, or DEVGRU, were flown in from Bagram specifically for this operation. The SEALs were part of Task Force Blue, which was part of the bigger Task Force 11, which was a joint venture of all different JSOC elements. Mako 30, led by Senior Chief Britt Slabinski, was composed of 6 SEALs and Sergeant John A. Chapman of the United States Air Force. The team's goal was to reach the top of Takur Ghar, a mountain with an elevation about 10,500 feet that overlooks the Shaikat Valley. The team would be able to watch enemy activities in the surrounding region from here and, using Chapman's experience as a combat controller, call in airstrikes. U.S. Army, Air Force, and Navy conventional and special forces, along with troops from allied nations such as the United Kingdom and Canada, participated in a 2-week operation, penetrating the remote region largely by helicopter. This exceptionally dangerous mode of operation came into clear focus on March 4th, during the Battle of Takur Ghar. This peak is now also known as Roberts Ridge, named after Petty Officer First Class Neil C. Roberts. On the 3rd day of Operation Anaconda, an Army MH-47E Chinook helicopter was loaded up and told by the AC-130 that the ground which they wanted to land on was clear of enemies. Seconds before their insertion, the pilot noticed a stronghold of enemies and was fired upon as it attempted to land on a ridge on Takur Ghar Mountain. Taking heavy fire, the helicopter lurched and attempted to take off and move away from the relentless and non-stop barrage of bullets and RPGs. In the chaos, one SEAL, Petty Officer First Class Neil Roberts, slipped and fell from the back of the helicopter, landing several feet onto the snowy ground. Too damaged to return for Roberts, the Chinook landed further down the mountain. 2 more helicopters would follow, attempting to save Roberts, but eventually all succumbing under heavy gunfire. One of those Chinook helicopters, however, successfully dropped off the Mako 30 team. They were able to disembark the helicopter without being noticed and infiltrate into the area. Once on the ground, Chapman immediately began calling for support for his team and for Roberts, who had activated his infrared strobe light after he was left high on the mountain above. Roberts fought several Al-Qaeda fighters until he was overwhelmed and executed. After securing the site where the Chinook crash landed, Slabinski and the rest of his team evacuated back to their base in Gardez. It was shortly after landing that Slabinski and the team agreed to return to the summit of Takur Ghar to rescue Roberts. By the time their new helicopter returned Mako 30 to the peak, just before 5 a.m., Roberts probably had been dead for about half an hour. They were not aware of this, and Mako 30 directed airstrikes and engaged the enemy for the next 20 minutes. clearing bunkers and killing several insurgents. Slabinski and Chapman, working together along with the rest of their teammates, demonstrated exceptional courage under fire. Chapman and 2 other SEALs were wounded, however, and Mako 30 was forced back from the peak as the team fought against tremendous odds. Chapman had his infrared laser activated so the team could keep tabs on his position through the smoke as they fought their way towards him. At that point, Slab, under heavy machine gun fire and with grenades being tossed nearby, could see through his night vision goggles that Chapman's infrared aiming laser had stopped moving. Believing Chapman was dead, Slab ordered his men back down the mountain so an AC-130 gunship flying overhead could pound enemy positions. However, while this was taking place, a Predator drone was taking footage of the battle that was raging on top of the peak. It was due to this footage that they later learned that Chapman's battle was not over yet. Chapman had been knocked unconscious by the barrage of grenades and RPG missiles fired at his position. Minutes after the SEALs evacuated the area, Chapman gained consciousness again and crawled into a nearby bunker to seek cover. Al-Qaeda fighters who were aware of his position fired a rocket-propelled grenade toward Chapman as another rushed the bunker before Chapman quickly finished him off with a rifle shot. As action continued on Takur Ghar, a quick reaction force consisting of just over 20 U.S. Army Rangers and Air Force personnel were deployed on 2 Chinooks to extract the survivors of Mako 30. As it approached the peak, they came under intense fire that wounded both pilots, killed the door gunner, and seriously damaged the helicopter. As it crash-landed, the Army and Air Force QRF team disembarked, immediately coming under enemy fire that killed 3 team members. Combat continued and the remaining team members took cover. This was all happening while Chapman was still fighting to survive. Having taken multiple rounds and having trouble hearing, seeing, and keeping himself on his feet, Chapman took notice of an Al-Qaeda fighter crawling to his position, clearly to take out his life. This resulted in a hand-to-hand battle, and this saw Chapman getting the better of the insurgent, after which he tried to advance his position out of the bunker. While he tried to provide covering fire for the incoming QRF, he was shot twice in the right side of his chest, killing him instantly. Eventually, after hours of fighting, the Quick Reaction Force and Mako 30 and 21 were exfiltrated from the Takur Ghar peak. The Battle of Takur Ghar is one of the most fierce and extreme battles in the history of the global war on terror. It is the only mission for which the acts that deserved the Medal of Honor had been recorded. 7 Americans in total were killed in action during this engagement, and another 12 wounded. And while all demonstrated exceptional bravery, Slabinski and Chapman would be decorated, although Chapman posthumously, with the Medal of Honor for valor above and beyond the call of duty. Several more distinctions were given to others that played a significant role. If you like what we're doing here, consider subscribing and hit the bell icon to never miss our newest videos. Thank you for watching, and see you all in the next one.